Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Boland. Thank you all for joining me. I just want to say I appreciate you guys for just tuning in. For the small amount of people that I do get to tune in my videos, I really want to say I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really thank you all. What I want to talk about today is just something that's like in another galaxy. Maybe I should say another alternate universe. You know, like someone went through a portal, and came up with this. And what I'm talking about is an article that I have to read you guys, okay? The article is dealing with a phenomenon known as free bleeding, free F-R-E-E bleeding. And essentially what it is, and some of you may have heard this, essentially what free bleeding is when a woman who is going through her period decides, well, there's two aspects to it, but essentially what free bleeding is when a woman who is going through a period decides not to use the sanitary items that she needs to use to stop the blood flow, okay? And the other side is, which is what this article is going to try to present it as, a poverty situation. I think they call it period poverty or something like that. Just crazy left loony nonsense, okay? And big government. That's really what it's all about. But we're going to get into this article because you guys got to hear what this article is saying, because the way the article presents it as something that's being favored, okay? But this is insanity. And let me bring something out too before I read the article as well. Mark Dice, social commentator Mark Dice, wrote a book in 2018 and dealing with the insanity of the far left radical liberals. And there's a section within the book where he mentions this whole phenomena of free bleeding. And he mentions something that I actually saw was documented that shows that this free bleeding is more than just, oh, we can't afford to buy the necessary items to be able to stop the blood flow, or it's some kind of social No, he gets really deep into this. So let's read you this article. Let me read you this article because this is just insane, to say the least. But you guys got to get in on this. I said this to myself. I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's just too juicy. Okay. So the title of the article is "Free Bleeding is Trending, and it's another stark reminder of pervasive period poverty." That's what it is. Period poverty. Now you may be asking, what the heck is period poverty? Well, listen to this. Okay. The idea of bleeding through one's clothing during that time of the month is the stuff of nightmares. However, a new wave of people who menstruate, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, okay, cool these words, are now blazing the free bleeding trail. Free bleeding is the act of menstruating without the use of more traditional methods of period care, and as evident in the recent TikTok trend, is taken off for many as a viable alternative to pads, tampons, and cups. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this up. Only the left would do something like this. Because this is not from any conservative. This is the left, okay? While some choose to free bleed with the help of recent technological advancements in period underwear, others simply use regular underwear or nothing at all. Now think about that. They don't use nothing at all. Just try to picture that in your mind, watching a woman walking down the street with nothing. Yeah, this is especially relevant for those looking to reduce their plastic waste and pursue more eco-friendly alternatives. See, there you go. Eco-friendly, that's liberal. To typical disposable menstrual hygiene products. However, for some, it is increasingly the only option they have. Now the article is trying to spin it as some kind of financial situation. Watch this. Listen to this. While an individual's choice of period care is a deeply personal one, you don't say, it also comes with an economic component that can make the choice extremely difficult, even non-existent for many. Since there are no necessary products to purchase for free bleeding, it can be an extremely economically viable option for those who might struggle to afford increasingly expensive menstruation hygiene products. So while many TikTok users might have the privilege of choice within the period care discussion, many of those affected by period poverty aren't left with any alternatives. Period poverty. What is period poverty? It asks. Okay, an estimated 500 million people are affected by period poverty globally. You hear that? An estimated 500 million people are affected by period poverty globally. This is a real bad situation. This is me talking. This is a real bad situation. This is a global phenomenon, and we need to deal with this period poverty situation, man. We need to put money into this, okay, to save these women from having to buy sanitary napkins and so forth to stop the blood flow. We need to really stop. This is a serious situation. Oh my God. Without the means to financially afford more traditional period care products, free bleeding becomes less of a personal choice and more of a shared necessity. In other words, you can't afford to buy the products you need. So, it's something of necessity. Just go ahead and free bleed. But it's free. Is that all there is? Is that all free bleeding is about? This article doesn't mention it, but I'm going to mention to you some stuff that Mark Dice cited in his book. An article from the American Medical Association laid out that a person that menstruates can expect to pay on average, roughly $1,800 in their lifetime for menstrual hygiene products like tampons and pads. Let me say something here. So I'm not no doctor. I ain't finna try to be, but I understand like when the woman starts going on period, like it's from her teen years to like her 30s or 40s or 50s. Correct me in the comment box because I don't fully know, okay? It ain't like I'm trying to find out, all right? I don't think that's something that I should be trying to be, But assuming that their period stopped at like in their mid 40s, late 40s, or early 50s, $1,800 is not a lot of money. If you started your period in your teen years and you in your 50s and your period stopped, that's not a lot of money. When you have to buy tampons, but that's not a lot of money. But you see how they spend it? See, they don't pay attention. It says an average roughly $1,800 in their lifetime. So assuming that the person makes it to 50, the woman makes it to 50, is that a lot of money? No, it's not. In comparison to the bigger scheme of things, it's not. But liberals and Marxists try to make it that way, to make it a poverty situation or an oppressive situation. Marxism all over this. Let's go on. Their government relations advocacy fellow Riley Beeler further clarified, quote, these products are not defined as essential, which means they are not covered by federal food stamp programs and other relief programs. See there? See, they want to cover this, once again, giving the government more control over your life. Big government. People think that they want this until it actually happens, and then they're boo-hooing and crying that they don't have any more freedoms. Man goes on to say, this leaves people with a choice between this is so comical to me, to be honest with you. This leaves people with a choice between buying tampons or providing other necessities for their families. This, of course, a choice no person should have to make. This leaves people with a choice between buying tampons or providing other necessities for their families. Are you serious? You can't make this stuff up. You mean to tell me that tampons, I'm going to be really, tampons are that expensive that you can't buy other necessities for your family? They're that expensive? I mean, couldn't you like borrow some money and talk to a friend or somebody that you know and say, you know what, I'm really on my period. I need you to, loan me a few dollars so I can go ahead and get my, tampons or whatever. You that impoverished that you can't buy tampons? Now, I'm not saying that this isn't a situation. I'm not saying that there aren't any women in this country that aren't dealing with that. But here's the problem. They're making this a global situation. You want to know why they're making this a global situation? Because it makes it more frightening. If you make it global, which is what they want, a one world government, if you make it global, it makes it more frightening, more overwhelming. When you put all the numbers, that's why they said over 500 million. You got 7 billion people in this in the world, and you yakking about 500 million women who supposedly having a problem with buying maxi pads and tampons. Ooh-wee. Man, these people, I swear, these people are tripped, man. He says the lack of MEDICAL classification was especially troubling during that, when menstrual hygiene products would have been tax exempt if only they had been categorized as essential during the public health crisis. See, they weren't categorized as being essential. And maybe the reason for that was because they weren't essential. They weren't medical situations. Okay. They weren't that. So that's why they weren't categorized that way. So now they're trying to make it into a ridiculous. This combined with the extraordinary job loss at the time made the pandemic even more difficult as increasing numbers of administrators, what are they talking about? Were pushed into poverty. Now they're making this into a big thing. More recently, increasing inflation has made period care more expensive than ever before, with a 10% increase in tampon prices in 2022. While free bleeding might seem like a financially viable alternative for menstruators, the downside to this form of period care can be significant. Many who free bleed by choice actively do not leave the house during the course of their period. This can be extremely impractical and damaging to those with in-person jobs and responsibilities. Additionally, those with heavy menstrual flows or other medical concerns might not be able to participate in free bleeding. While many would agree that destigmatization of menstruation, whatever the way, you know what I'm talking about, is important, many menstruators, this is stupid, especially those affected by period poverty, are not in the social or economic position to carry that burden. Many need help. You see what's going on here? You see what's going on here? And watch this. Listen to this. Getting menstrual hygiene products categorized as MEDICALLY. I already said the words. I'm hoping that this video doesn't get flagged or taken down. Essential is a vitally important step in combating period poverty. How can anybody fall for this, man? He says another way to combat period poverty centers on state legislation. Currently, menstrual hygiene products are still subject to luxury sales tax, the tampon tax, they have in parentheses, in 22 states, which further increases the barrier to accessing these products for many people. Similarly, despite the negative education implications for students who are unable to attend class during their periods, only 5 states currently require schools to provide access to free menstrual products. Removing unnecessary menstrual hygiene product taxes, expanding free access to product in schools, and changing the categorization of these products to medically necessary are all key steps to fight the period poverty crisis affecting the millions of administrators in the United States. While free bleeding can absolutely be a personal choice for some, for far too many others, it is a requirement of circumstance with harmful effects on a person's self-esteem, work/school performance, and even health. Oh my God. I don't mean to laugh like it doesn't mean anything, because I'm pretty, any woman that is dealing with that, I'm heard, they don't like it. They get cramps and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, I know from what I've, have observed from women that have, like my sisters and my ex-wife and so forth, they have to go through that stuff, is very aggravating and frustrating. Okay, so I understand them. So I'm not laughing at that situation, but I am laughing at this article and the way it's presenting this and this whole idea of period poverty. That's a bunch of Marxist communist nonsense. What they're trying to do is consolidate power and bring that into the so-called MED situation, so that it can be categorized as that, so that they can take more control over your life. And needless to say, taxes will go up to finance that. Their argument is that there are women that just can't afford to buy tampons. Man, this stuff is so silly. But the whole thing about free bleeding, this is something that Mark Dice said in his book, okay? And honestly, there's more to it than what people think. In fact, this is the title of his book, Liberalism, Find a Cure, written in 2018. So he was on top of this free bleeding nonsense before anyone else seemed to be had been. But here's something here, and he cites at the bottom of the page here. You can see those. You can see at the bottom of the page, those are the resources. One of them is some Breitbart News. Okay, I wanted to read you guys something there. It says about what this free bleeding is really all about as well. It's not all about poverty and women can't afford it. It's also about women, radical feminists who believe that by free bleeding, allowing themselves to menstruate through their clothes and through their pants and so forth, that they are expressing their outrage against a male-dominated society. I'm not making this stuff up. This is literally what these nasty women think. And I'm not taking that back. That's nasty. It's nasty. How could you any support that? Can't you be a liberated woman in a decent way? That's disgusting. Look, let me go on. He says, one of the countless crazy modern feminist causes they're fighting for today is the right to not use tampons or any kind of feminine hygiene product while they're on their period, a practice they call free bleeding. As you can imagine, the blood visibly seeps through the pants, leaving a big red splotch on their, you know what, that is impossible not to notice. One yoga teacher posted photos on her Instagram of her, quote, free bleeding in white yoga pants while striking up various poses in order to raise awareness for the cause. So this is not about poverty. This is about something else. She's a mother of 3 who free bleeds and breastfeeds her 18-month-old while doing yoga at the same time. In one photo she posted, she can be seen striking a yoga pose with one leg up in the air while her 2 small children hug her other leg, appearing to bleed or almost bleed on their heads because her period blood was running down her right leg by the children's faces. Can you imagine this? Why would anyone do this, you ask? He says, Mark Dice says, I take time each cycle to be... this is one woman said, why would anyone do this, you ask? And I guess this is what this woman, she says, I take time each cycle to be grateful that I can bleed, and I incorporate it into my yoga practice to honor all the women who haven't and those that cannot, she explains. I mean, he goes into more details of that. But if you buy this book, you know, you can purchase that book. That book is well documented. I highly recommend it. And I have all of Mark Dice's books. I have all of his books. And I really admire him. I really like his books. They're well documented. But the point that he mentions here, and the point that article that I read you guys does not mention, is the fact that this free bleeding is not merely about some kind of poverty situation. That's something that that liberal newspaper made up to consolidate power and raise taxes and get more control. What it's really all about is women's rights. And women, you have a right to free bleed, and you don't need to wear no tampons, and you don't need to wear this, because clearly that's what Mark Dice did not make that up. That's in the articles. You can look at the bottom of the page, and you see the articles he read that from. So it's in the articles. He did not make that up. And she's posing a yoga pose and blood is coming out. Can you imagine that? That's disgusting. But this is what happens when you get rid of all morals, all principles, all sense of right or wrong. This is how the radical left thinks, if you want to call it think. People may think that I'm picking on the left. I'm not picking on the left. Because that's all they do is demonize conservatives anyway. I'm not picking on it. I'm just pointing out the crazy, insane stuff that they do. Compare that to what conservatives do. Compare it. You cannot compare it. There is no comparison. This is pure insanity. You are not fighting for women when you free bleed. Put some tampons on, clean yourself up, and get out of here. You stink. Period. Bottom line, it's nasty. That's nasty, dude. And here's another thing before I sum this video up. I feel sorry for any man that's dating a woman like that, or is married to a woman like that, or lives with her. Bro, I feel sorry for you. I really, really, really do. Any man that wants to be with a feminist, or particularly a radical feminist that believes in this kind of nonsense, I feel sorry for you. It's your choice, but I feel sorry for you. And I wouldn't want to shake your hand neither. And I don't need to go into details of why I wouldn't want to shake your hand. I really feel sorry for you. You can't help but wonder if these women have any men, what kind of man is he? What kind of man would want to be with a real, I mean, really, like really, what kind of man would want to be with a woman who free bleeds for those reasons that Mark Dice just mentioned there? What kind of man would want to be with them? Even if she's saying it's a poverty situation, let's flip it over. Even if it's a so-called poverty situation, you know, period poverty nonsense, and she can't afford to buy it and she with a man, I'm pretty sure that man is going to give her some money to buy the, man, come on. Come on, man. Get off of it. He's going to give her some money to buy some tampons. You ain't going to walk around bleeding like that. You're just not going to do it unless you just disgusting. Okay, period, bottom line. And I'm not belittling the situation. I'm pretty sure there are some women that are dealing with that. But come on, when you compare it to the bigger overall picture, what are you seeing here? Because I'm certainly not seeing a problem that the radical left globalists are trying to make it be to consolidate power. Man, get out of here. I may have been born yesterday, but I wasn't born 2 minutes ago. Jesus Christ, man, come on. I mean, this is crazy, but yeah, that's really what it's all about. It's all about radical feminism and their idea of asserting their right to free bleed, you know, to basically say, look, you men are trying to control us. You can read further, you men trying to control us. I'm tired of you men trying to control us. We're going to do what we want to do. And we're going to free bleed. Well, how's that working with you when it comes down to you wanting to be with a man? I mean, even if you gay, what gay woman would want to be with you? Like, because what if the other gay woman, say for instance, these women that free bleed are gay. And I'm just being realistic. Say for instance they're gay. You better hope yo boo agrees with free bleeding, because if not, you decide you want to free bleed and they find out about it, you might have a problem. You might have a problem. Think about it. Think about it. Crazy, man, crazy. But only the radical left does crazy things like this. Only they do crazy things like this. And hopefully people will see this type of craziness and stop messing with the radical left. Let them act like loonies on their own. Put them in some kind of loony farm. They're coming to take me away, hee hee, ha ha, ha ha, to the crazy farm with trees and flowers and singing birds and bastic weavers and ho ho hee hee. You remember that song? Oh, I'm old, you know. But yeah, that's what them people need to be. They're messed up in the head, man. Messed up in the head. But that's what I had to say about that, man. I could go on and on about this because there's so much other things that deal with this in terms of radical feminism, where it came from, what it's all about. But I had to say that. And what do you guys think about this insanity? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.